Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and this is going to be the beginning of my series, my top 50 albums that shaped my musical journey. So today I will be counting down, starting at number 50 to number 45. So if you recently watched my I'm turning 50 video, I will be kind of introducing this series and what it's all about, so you can kind of go back to that or check that out later. So let me just get right into it. Coming in at number 50 is 10 by the band Pearl Jam. This is their debut album. It came out in 1991, and this came out at a time when I was listening to a lot of heavy metal, but I was kind of like getting into grunge. I know the album that really got me into grunge was Nirvana's Nevermind, and you're going to be seeing that, but like way high on the list. But Pearl Jam 10, this is another really great album. I'm not saying it's my favorite Pearl Jam album, but this is the album that really got me into the band, and this is really the album that kind of brings back those memories of just like first listening to it and just really getting into like this new type of music, because it's still a little heavy, but it wasn't heavy metal. You know, it was grunge, it's guitar heavy, a lot of great riffs on it. And basically this album, it's like almost a perfect album, but I think that the first like 7 songs are like really great. I think after that I might take a little dip. It opens up with Once, then goes to the Even Flow, Alive, that was their first video. That's a really great riff, like a kind of like slides, go like that. Black, this is one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs of all time. Really love the vocals on that one. It's just an awesome ballad. Jeremy, they had a really great video on MTV for that one. And then there's Oceans and Porch and the rest of the album. So it's pretty good. I have it at number 50, so it was very influential. Coming in number 49 is Pablo Honey by the band Radiohead. Now you're probably thinking Radiohead, I probably have albums like OK Computer or other ones. No, this is going to be the only Radiohead album I have on my list, because this was a lot different and probably like the one I liked the best. I saw Radiohead live once, I think it was around 2011 or 2012. I went with my wife. It wasn't a great show, like they started very late. I mean, actually it was raining at the venue, and they don't really like to play the song Creep, which is like my favorite song. And this is a really great album. I like it a lot, because it has some really great songs. Anyone Can Play Guitar, Stop Whispering, you know, I Said Creep. And this album is basically like the British version of like those bands coming out of the Seattle scene. So this album sounds a lot different than their other stuff that will come later. Like OK Computer, they started experimenting with like the electronics, and that was like a very brilliant album. But Pablo Honey, it's just very stripped down, some really great songs, a lot of acoustic guitar, similar to like Nirvana has like that, like the softer verse, then the heavy chorus, a lot of songs like that, a lot of like feedback, and this is a really great album, and I like this one a lot. Coming in at 48 is Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, and you're probably thinking that I'm going to have a lot of Led Zeppelin on this list. No, I think I might have one more higher up on the list. But there was like so many albums, I couldn't like fit all these albums into a top 50. I mean, it's really hard. But Physical Graffiti, it's one of those albums, I think I identify with it a lot. Kind of like an album that's been like an old friend. It's like always been there for me. It's one I just like keep going back to. So, and I've listened to it like first when I was maybe 10 years old, but I've listened to it in my 20s, in my 30s, and in my 40s. And it's just always been there for me. It is one of my favorite double albums, because it's a double album that like almost everything is a great song. This also has some of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs. Probably my favorite Led Zeppelin song of all time out of the entire catalog is 10 Years Gone. I just really love the guitar tone, the guitar riff. I just really love how it builds up. And that's just my favorite song. And one of my second favorite songs is Night Flight. It just is very like spacey, psychedelic at first, but it has this really great like guitar riff that kind of comes right after the intro. And that is another one, but this entire album is just an awesome album, so can't really say too much good stuff about it. Coming in at number 47 is Hell Awaits by Slayer. Now, this is a band that I was really into them when I was getting into heavy metal. So this one came out in 1985, and I think I bought it around 1988 or 1989. Probably like the heaviest music I was listening to at that time. I revisited it the other day. It really sounds great, and I'm going to say something that's probably going to like piss off Slayer fans, but I like this a lot better than Rain in Blood. I feel it's just a better album. I think the songs just have a little more like variety. Like Rain in Blood is just a very like a fast album. It starts off with a great song, ends with a great song, and it's just like breakneck speed all the way through. But this, I mean, there's just like some like really great riffs. It's not all the way, it's not like fast all the way through. It gets slow, you know, a little slow, kind of builds in some different songs. There's some really great songs. I mean, the opening Hell Awaits, that's a great one. At Dawn They Sleep, really awesome riff in that one. And the ending, Hardening of the Arteries, really great song. This is not a long album, maybe like about 35 minutes. Slayer, just their like first 5 albums are really great. I kind of like moved away from them, you know, later on in life, but these 5 albums, you can't touch it. I think I might have one more Slayer album in my top 50 later on. But this is a great one. And my last one, coming in at number 46, is Americana by The Offspring. And this is such an awesome album. So this is an album, I was working in a factory. I was working a night shift. I would like go to work at 11 o'clock at night and end my shift at like 8 in the morning. And it was one of those jobs, it was like the first job where actually like let me like listen to music while I'm doing my work. And I had a cassette Walkman, I had this on cassette. And I just used to listen to it over and over while I worked this night shift. And I just know all of these songs. And one of the songs is called Pretty Fly for a White Guy. And during that time I was living in Corona, Queens, which is a very like Latin American neighborhood. And I kind of like identified with it. You know, I was like this young guy, I was single, and I was always like cruising the taco stands, like looking for chicks. And it all goes back to this like one album by The Offspring called Americana. But I really like this album. You know, Why Don't You Get a Job? I really like that one. She's Got Issues. That's another great song. And that is it. I'm going to end right here. So that was 50 to 46. I'll be back tomorrow with 45 to 41. So stick around, check out my in-video links. I will link my other, my I'm Turning 50 video if you want to kind of see me introduce this series. That's it. See you tomorrow.